Good day, this is Janelle and Cruz from BIT4AFSM, and we will be discussing about the materials management. So, introduction: all businesses that has a manufacturing operation typically manages inbound and outbound of all of the physical assets of the organization as well as the services a businesses offers. So, manufacturing businesses are engaged in converting raw materials to a form that is of far more value and use the consumer than the original raw materials. So, this conversion process is called manufacturing or production. So, it makes the society wealthier and creates a better standard of living. What is materials management? It is defined as it is a planning, directing, controlling, and coordinating those activities which are concerned with materials and inventory requirements. From the point of their inception to their into the manufacturing processes. And material cost is probably the most important element of cost. In the case of a certain industries like cement, sugar, chemicals, iron and steel, and etc., these materials cost forms a very significant portion of the overall cost of production. Is the objectives of materials management. So the first one here is the material selection. It means that correct specification of material and components is determined, and also the material requirement in agreement with sales program are assessed. Second, here is the low operating cost. So it should endeavor to keep the operating cost low and increase the profits without making any concessions in quality. Third one is safety of materials. So, with the thorough management of materials, inbound, outbound, and on the stock product, it will always be safe and secured to theft, damages, and expiration. And the last one is identification. With material management, confusion of orders and procurement will be lessened. The next one is the classification of materials. So the term material refers to all commodities which are consumed in the production process. So the materials which can be consumed in the production process can be basically classified as these two, which is the direct materials and the indirect materials. So, materials is generally called raw material, and inventory is a name collectively given to a raw material, work in process, and finished goods. So, even though material and inventory are used as synonyms, so it's still has a different definition here. So, material usually means raw material, and inventory means raw material along with work in process plus finished goods. This illustration will show us that material is first subjected to a manufacturing process before it becomes a finished good. And raw material is also present with work in progress and finished goods. So it is a continuous process. So from raw materials, this will go to on the work in progress, and then the last process will be, or this will now have the result or the output, which is the finished goods or the finished product. So, classification of inventory is done on this basis, and thus the different classification of inventory are as follows. So, the first one is the raw materials. So, these are input goods intended for combination and or conversion through the manufacturing process into semi-finished or finished goods. The next one is components and parts. So just as raw materials are converted to finished goods, in a manufacturing operations, components and parts are assembled into finished goods in an assembly operation. The third one is maintenance, repair and operating inventories or MRO. So this includes parts, supplies, and materials used and consumed by routine maintenance and repair of operating equipment or in support operations. And the fourth one is work in process goods. So this includes goods in the process of manufacturing and only partially completed. So they are usually measured for accounting purposes in between significant conversion phases. Fifth one is finished goods. So this represent the completed conversion of raw materials into the final product. They are goods ready for sale and shipment. So this will be now the final output or the product, which we call the finished goods. And the sixth one is resale goods. So these are goods acquired for resale. Such goods may be purchased by a wholesaler for resale to distributors or distributors for resale to consumers and etc. The capital goods is like the equipment that we are utilizing or using for a long period of time in manufacturing or in processing a product. The next one is construction materials. These are raw materials and components for construction projects such as building a bridge and etc. Hard goods or soft goods. Hard goods and soft goods will vary depending on the industry involved. So, for example, in data processing, hard goods include apparatus such as computers and terminals, while soft goods include software, data storage, media, and the like. And the next one is fuel and lubricants. So, fuel and lubricants are used for oiling purposes for the equipment used in the process, which again varies with the type of industry. Second to the last is stationery goods. It includes writing materials like paper, pen, ink, etc., which are used by people involved in the process. The last one is primary packing material. Packing material like plastic, paper, etc., used to pack the finished goods for sale. For the scopes of materials management, so the scope of materials management includes the following aspects. The first one is material planning, second is standardization, three, procurement and purchasing. Four is the quality control, five, packaging, six, storage, and lastly, distribution. And for the um, material planning is derived from overall organizational planning, and it is always a subplan of the broad organizational plan. What it does is to forecast and initiate the procurement of materials. So there are also factors affecting the material planning, which are the macro factors. It means that global factors such as price, trends, business cycles, governments' import and export policies, and etc., are called macro factors. And for the micro factors, these are essentially the factors existing within the organization, such as corporate policy on inventory holding, production plan, investments, and etc. The next one is standardization. So it means formulation, publication, and implementation of guidelines, rules, and specifications for common and repeated use, aimed at achieving optimum degree of or order of uniformity in given context, discipline, or field. So standardization, it just means that it is the standard that, or it is the guidelines, or there is a guidelines that we should be follow. So, publication, it means communication of a message, a statement, or text through any means such as audio, video, print, electronically as an ebook, or on the web. It's a way of communication of a message. And lastly, specification means exact statement of the particular needs to be satisfied or essential characteristic that the customer requires in goods, material, method, process, service system, or work in which a vendor must deliver. And for a specification, it divided generally into two main categories, such are performance specification, and the second one is technical specification, procurement and purchasing. What do we mean by procurement? It means acquisition. It includes the complete process of obtaining goods and services from preparation and processing of our requisition to receipt and approval of the invoice for a payment. Quality control comprises activities employed in detection and measurement of variability in the characteristic of output attributable to the production system, and it includes corrective responses. The next one is packaging. So packaging, it includes processes such as cleaning, drying, and preserving materials such as a glass, metal, paper, or paperboard. Plastic employed to contain, handle, protect, and transport an article. The next one is storage. Storage means non-transitory, semi-permanent containment, holding or placement of goods or materials, usually with the intention of retrieving them at a later time. Distribution. It means movement of goods and services from the source through the distribution channel right up to the final customer, consumer, or user. So, what is material handling? Um, it says here that it is the efficient short distance movement of goods that usually takes place within the confines of a building, such as a plant or a warehouse, or between a building and a transportation agency. So there are also types of material handling. These are the manual handling. So manual handling refers to use of a worker's hand to move individual containers by lifting, lowering, filling, emptying, or carrying them. And the second type of material handling is automated. Automated is any form of handling of material that uses automated machines and robotics. So this is now a more innovative way of lifting an item or handling a material. So material handling equipment or MHE is used for movement, storage, protection, consumption, and disposal of materials within a facility or at a site. So, to properly utilize the performance and assets of the company, there are things to consider first in purchasing, such as physical facilities, especially in the material handling and storage equipment. So, there are factors to consider in selecting a machine and other physical facilities of the company. So the first one is simple if operation. Second is flexibility. Third one is durability. Fourth one is portability. And five, benefit. And the sixth one is service. Seven is operating cost. And eight is style. And ninth, suppliers. And lastly, cost. So in material handling equipment, it also classified into four, such as transport equipment, positioning equipment, unit load formation equipment, storage equipment, and the identification and control equipment. So in transport equipment, so it is used to move materials from one place to another location, such as the conveyors, cranes, industrial trucks. So conveyors, this as the image shows, this is the equipment used to move materials over a fixed path between specific points. It also provide the transport equipment also provide vertical movement. Truck has a lifting capabilities. So this is or it is also known as forklift, and forklift has different types. The first one is a reach truck, as the image show. It usually placed on strategic locations inside the warehouse. And the second one is the three-wheel forklift. It is mainly used indoors, warehouse, or smooth surfaces. The third one is four-wheel forklift. Um, it is more than or it is more stable than the three-wheel forklift and usually used for outdoors. On the unit load formation equipment, it is used to restrict materials so that they maintain their integrity when handled during transport and for storage. The example of it are the pallets and the pallets boxes. For the storage equipment, it is used for holding or buffering materials over a period of time. So it represents a trade-off between minimizing handling costs by making material easily accessible and maximizing the utilization of space. So one of the best examples of storage equipment is the racking system or the racks. And so the racking systems has different types. So the first one is the drive-through rack. The second one is drive-in rack. The third one is the flow-through rack. The last one is the pushback rack. And for the identification and control equipment. So identification and control equipment are used to collect and communicate the information that is used to coordinate the flow materials within a facility and between a facility and its suppliers and customers. So that's all for today, and thank you.